Okay, to make it short, I married for money. My husband is with me for appearances and we are happy with our arrangement. My husband and I married because I have all the qualifications to please his family, and he takes financial care of me. We are very fond of each other and even love each other, but not in the classical marriage sense. We are like amazing roommates with some benefits. He and I are free to live our lives independently and without stress. He is not worried about being cut off from his family, and I am finally financially stable and am free to work my job that simply is not as economically beneficial. The problem? My sisters have never approved of my decision. They say I sold myself, which, fair. But still, we used to be civil with each other. Last week we had a family BBQ. I went without my husband. Everything was going great until my oldest niece, 21, sat down next to me and we started talking. And then she asked me straight up if I was with my husband for money. I explained to her how we met, our agreement, and so on. She then asked me if I think it would be okay for her to pretend to be her gay best friend's girlfriend. I told her it was up to her to decide, and if there were no negatives to it, like her having actual feelings for him, someone getting hurt like a romantic partner, etc. It was a lovely talk. Strike two was, apparently, when my other nieces asked me where my husband was, and I told them that he was on vacation. They asked me why I didn't go with him, and I said that we only sometimes go together on vacations. We usually take little trips together but go on longer vacations with friends or family. My niece, 16, asked me if it was true what her mum and aunt said about me being a gold digger, and I just said, I guess so. Like, that doesn't faze me. I know my sisters constantly talk about me behind my back, and I'm not ashamed of my marriage at all, so I see no need to lie. Later that night my sisters cornered me, and we had a fight about my words with my nieces. They said it was completely inappropriate what I told them, that I am free to live my fricked up life, but to not let my niece think that it is okay what I do. I called them small-minded, and that I was only answering my niece's questions, and I was even honest. They are free to make their own decisions. My sisters kept cornering me, calling me all sorts of names and saying I was basically influencing their daughters negatively because I was miserable. I said some words back and left, not talking to them the whole week. Now there is a huge fallout because I pulled out of the family vacation because of this fight. But the vacation would be at my husband's summer house. And as I am not going, my husband doesn't feel comfortable lending my family the house. My family has been calling me a huge AH, and my sisters said that I was blowing things out of proportion. Am I the idiot? Should I still go? As to some questions, does my husband have a dark secret? No, also I am not harming him by being open with my family. It is an unspoken secret. His parents care more that he is married. They do not care if it is a real marriage. What qualifications do I have? I share his religion and frequent the church. I work with an NGO. I have a very limited social media presence. I have a good education. I'm not very loud. And I am a good host. Why was I encouraging my niece to be a beard? I was not. She asked me what I thought, what I would do, etc. She wanted to help a friend out, and we talked about that. We talked about what could go wrong, about the drawbacks, etc. Why do you blab so much about it? I don't. At the very beginning, I sat my parents down and explained to them. They were okay with my decision. They only urged me to make sure I would be taken care of, even if my husband decided to divorce or if I wanted out. My sisters found out and confronted me. Since then, I only talk about it when I am directly asked. I never offer information about it, but I'm also not going to lie. I think that should be it. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. You are the gold digger, yet they expect to reap the benefits of the gold even when they judge you for you. Entirely proportionate response, OP. Also, your nieces are old enough to start thinking for themselves, and these are very good conversational topics which are better handled without parental scowl around. Congratulations on your marriage. People forget that marry for love is quite a recent thing, and in not that distant past it was most like a business deal, and if you could find a spouse that treats you with respect, and you grow fond and friends together, it was considered a successful marriage. It seems to me that's what you have, even if it is not the fairy tale dream or the religious ideal. P.S. Since so many replies to me seem to lack at least some level of reading comprehension, here I stated, you are the gold digger yet they expect, because her sisters call her that. Not that this is what I call her. Seriously guys, read the full text before you go off. Comment 2. From your account it sounds like you said nothing wrong to your nieces. What were you supposed to say when your niece asked if what her mum said was true? No, she's a liar. It was really a no-win conversation. It seems like your sisters are angry because you're not ashamed of the way you live your life, but it sounds like both you and your husband are okay with it and no one's being taken advantage of. If anyone's taking advantage, it's your sisters, as they seem perfectly okay with benefiting from your husband's money when it means they get a vacation in his house. There are so many posts on Reddit where the person says, I am the reason X, Y and Z happened, when they're not the reason at all. The reason is that someone treated you like crap, and there are consequences to behaving that way. Your sisters caused this, not you. I wouldn't want to be in the same room as them, let alone go on vacation with them. Not the idiot. Comment 3. Your sisters are hypocrites. If they so disagree with your life choices and find them so abhorrent, then they should not be accepting a family vacation at your summer house. Rather than berating you about being a fucked-up role model, they should look deep at themselves, at what values, money-grubbing, hypocrisy, nastiness towards family members they are showing their own children. Not the idiot. Don't feel guilty. Your marriage is your own business. You're equal sign yourself and husband, and definitely do not host those horrid people. I might reach out independently to the 21-year-old to let her know the door is open, if you have a good separate relationship. But keep on living your life. Now, for the update. Alright, so you're not going to believe what happened next. After the fallout, I decided to stick to my guns and didn't join my sisters on the vacation, or rather the annual family drama fest at my husband's summer house. They tried to guilt trip me into going by sending pictures of my nieces and nephews enjoying themselves, but I held strong. Meanwhile, my husband and I had a little vacation of our own. We booked a last-minute trip to the Caribbean, and honestly, it was peaceful and so much fun. The drama-free zone was magical. Here's the twist. While we were away, a hurricane hit the area where our summer house is. Now, no one was hurt, but the house suffered severe damage. And the kicker? We've recently moved to a new home insurance provider, and the damage isn't fully covered due to some loophole the sneaky buggers put in the fine print. We're looking at significant out-of-pocket repair costs. I called my sisters to ensure everyone was okay, and they immediately started blaming me. I kid you not, they said if I had been there I would have insisted on checking the insurance policy, and this wouldn't have happened. Now, while I'm flattered they think so highly of my meticulousness, I'm not a psychic who could predict a hurricane and the ensuing damage. They also added that because of the damage, they had to cut their vacation short and return to their homes. The audacity, right? They're upset because they had to leave a vacation early while we're dealing with a financial setback. But here's the jaw-dropping part. My husband seemed relieved. He admitted that he never really liked the house. He only bought it because it was a status symbol. He thought it would impress me. We had a long heart-to-heart talk, and he confessed that he's felt trapped in our lifestyle for a long time. Apparently the house was just another box to check off on his list of what it means to be successful. So the fallout from my honesty at the family gathering led to a brutal honesty session between my husband and me. We're now considering selling the summer house once it's repaired and using the money to travel and experience life beyond societal expectations. It's eye-opening how this chaos led us to reevaluate our lives. My sisters are still furious, but I've decided to not let their disapproval dictate my life. I didn't marry for their approval. My husband and I are happier than we've ever been. Ironically, more genuine and real in our relationship, and you know what? I wouldn't change a thing. Now, for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. First off, it's not your responsibility to manage the insurance details of a property that's not solely your own. It seems like there was a lack of clear communication between everyone involved here. Furthermore, it's not your fault that a hurricane happened to damage the summer house. Could you have possibly foreseen this and altered the insurance policy accordingly? Highly unlikely. Your sisters appear to be pushing their frustration about the situation onto you, instead of dealing with it rationally. It's great that you and your husband have decided to live life on your own terms and prioritize experiences over material possessions. Your sister's disapproval should not dampen your happiness or your decision. Comment 2. Not the idiot. It's unfair for your sisters to blame you for the hurricane damage to the summer house, especially since it's clear the purchase of the house wasn't fully your decision in the first place. It's your husband who bought it as a status symbol, not you. Also, your decision to choose a peaceful trip over joining your sister's family vacation is a personal one, and you shouldn't be blamed for it. The fact that you're now choosing to live a life that feels more genuine to you and your husband is commendable. It's important to live according to your own values and not societal expectations. Comment 3. Not the idiot. It's not your job to ensure that your husband's purchases are properly insured, especially if it's a purchase you didn't agree with in the first place. Your sisters blaming you for the hurricane damage is simply misplaced anger. They're looking for a scapegoat, and you're an easy target. As for your decision to prioritize experiences over societal expectations, that's a personal decision that doesn't involve them. It's a healthy step towards leading a fulfilling life. You and your husband are using this unfortunate incident to reassess your lifestyle and make changes that suit you both. Ignore the negativity and continue living your life authentically. Now, for the next story. I don't drive and live in my forever house with my dogs. My kids are grown up and I'm a widow. I converted my garage into a legal guest house with everything a person needs for when the kids visit. Independent washroom, kitchen, everything. My parents have recently asked me if they can move in with me. I agreed and talked to my kids to let them know that if they came for a visit, the garage was taken so they would have to stay in the house. My parents showed up on the appointed day, and the kids showed up with their families to help get them moved in. And they actually had already arranged a hotel for one family, so we would not be crowded. My parents were confused as to why we were moving their stuff into the garage. I told them that was where they were staying. They said that they thought they could move into my house since I have 5 bedrooms. I explained that I actually have 2 bedrooms. Since one room is my office where I see clients, one is my private office and one is my hobby room. The spare bedroom is mostly for my mutts. They said that they wanted to live in the house, not out in the garage like Fonzie. I said it was a take it or leave it situation. If they didn't want the garage, they could move into a nursing home or something. They're upset that they are living rent-free in a private guest house that is fully up to code. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot. If it's a converted guest house that's completely up to code, I don't see a reason that they would want to go into the house, as everything you have in the house you have in the guest house too. My friend recently turned her shed into a beautiful guest house, kitchen appliances, private bathroom, the works. Her parents are currently living there and they don't have a problem with it. They like the privacy and they like being close to their child. Comment 2. Tell them, it's my roof and you'll do as I say, JK. But honestly, a rent-free place of their own where they're not in your way and you're not in theirs seems like the best deal for everyone. Obviously there will be times when they visit you in the main house, but I think you're being fair. Not the idiot. Comment 3. Wow, your parents are spoiled. A rent-free, up-to-code apartment tea sounds pretty sweet. If it isn't good enough for them, then they can make other arrangements. But if you let them into your main house, it will become their house, and you won't be able to get away from them. Not the idiot now for the update. Well, you'll never believe how things turned out. After a few weeks of tension, mother and father finally got settled into the guest house. I guess the idea of a nursing home made them appreciate the garage converted home a bit more. They've even started putting their own personal touch on the place. Mum's got her flower pots lined up in the windowsill, and Dad's got his favourite recliner right in front of the telly. And here's the real kicker. The dogs actually love it over there. I guess they just needed a little change of scenery. They're now splitting their time between my place and the guest house, giving me a bit of a break and providing companionship for my parents. Turns out my kids aren't too bummed about the garage either. They've been making a point to visit more often, bringing the grandkids along no less, and they've been able to spend quality time with their grandparents. It's become a sort of unofficial family gathering spot. And the most heartwarming part? My folks have finally patched things up with my stubborn old neighbour, Mr. Jenkins. They've been living next to each other for years with this silly mutual grudge. But a couple of weeks ago, his cat got stuck up in the tree and my dad was the one to retrieve it. Ever since, they've been on speaking terms, even sharing a beer over the fence every now and then. All in all, things have worked out better than I could have ever hoped. Everyone's happy, the dogs are getting spoiled rotten, and the house is bustling with love and laughter. The garage has become so much more than a guest house. It's truly a home. Now for the comments. Comment 1. Not the idiot. It's clear from your description that everyone involved in this new living arrangement is benefiting. Your parents have their independence while still being near enough for you to help if necessary. They've made the space their own, and even the dogs are enjoying the new setup. It's also great to see that these changes have increased the presence of your children and grandchildren around your parents, which is important for their mental well-being. Additionally, it's wonderful to hear that this new living setup has even mended old feuds with neighbours. You've created an environment that promotes love, unity and happiness. Comment 2. Not the idiot. You've made a decision that's not only pragmatic, but also emotionally satisfying for everyone involved. The fact that the dogs are splitting their time between both houses indicates that your parents are comfortable in the converted garage, and the pets are not feeling any unease. This is important as animals can be sensitive to changes in their environment. The reconciliation with the neighbour is another positive outcome. It's admirable that your father took the initiative to help, proving that kindness can mend even the most strained relationships. Comment 3. Not the idiot. What you've done is create a multi-generational living environment which has multiple benefits. This type of living arrangement can enhance the quality of life for all involved. It's great that your kids and grandkids are getting to spend quality time with their grandparents. Such interactions can be very enriching for the younger generation and provide a sense of purpose and connectedness for the older ones. The harmonious living environment you've facilitated speaks volumes about your thoughtfulness and consideration. The transformation of the garage into a homey abode has not only provided your parents with a comfortable living space, but also contributed to the overall harmony of the neighbourhood. Now for the next story. Obligatory throwaway. All names changed for anonymity. I, 44-year-old female, am married to my hubby Jimmy, 48-year-old male for over 2 decades. My parents died suddenly in a car accident 10 years ago. I have a younger sister, Abigail, 39-year-old female with Down syndrome, and Jimmy and I are guardians. Abigail is my sweet angel on earth. When my parents passed, I was a working mother of 3 young kids, helping to build our family business with my husband. At first, Abigail lived with us full-time. Jimmy has always been at my side with her care and loves her to bits. After a few months, we realised that my sister needed more attention than we could give her. There was just not enough time in the day. We discussed what would be best for her and decided to put her into a private adult home for special needs people. It's very costly, over $10,000 a month, and comes from our own finances. The facility does all sorts of activities and field trips. She loves her home, her friends, and the special days the facility hosts. We are always stopping by to either visit, sign her out on holidays to spend with family, keep her overnight for special sleepovers with my kids, and take her on every vacation with us. We never go more than 24 hours without one of us making sure she's okay. Now on to the issue. I have a sister-in-law, Jenny, 42-year-old female, who had her first child after years of trying. She's become the typical first-time mum who believes she invented motherhood and is openly opinionated about things she believes other parents fall short on. I mostly ignore her, and so does Jimmy. We hosted a BBQ at my house for Labor Day with my father-in-law, mother-in-law Jenny, her husband, baby, and my kids. Abigail had a planned trip to the zoo and asked if she could go. Of course, we said okay. While we were eating, Jenny turned to me and asked me where Abigail was. Her tone was more accusatory than questioning. I simply didn't want to get into it with Jenny, so I said Abigail wanted to stay at the home. Jenny then turned to her husband and said, "See, this is why it won't ever happen." My mother-in-law asked Jenny what she was talking about. Jenny, all snarky, said to the whole table, "We did our wills last week and knew these two wouldn't be suitable as guardians of our baby if something happened to us. They tossed her sister into a home rather than be real family to her. I won't let that happen to my child." I didn't let it show, but I was extremely hurt she could say this. Instead of yelling, I laughed at her and said, "Well, that's great news since I have zero desire to raise your kid." More was said, but that's the gist of it. Jenny left with her family, calling me nasty swear words as she walked out. I might have said a few swear words myself right back at her. It's been over a month now and Jimmy is still getting nasty texts from Jenny demanding I apologise. My mother-in-law knows she overstepped with her comment but is asking me to be the bigger person and say sorry to keep the peace. I refuse. Am I the idiot? Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Not the idiot, but take a page from my child's book. He gives the apology but is very specific and it's not really an apology. So here's one I witnessed when he was in primary school. "I'm sorry you feel that way, but you're still a jerk." He officially apologised, but didn't lie. His thought still to this day is, if he has to lie, then you're getting a two-part apology because lying is worse. Giving an apology without meaning it is a lie, just to make someone feel better. So he doesn't lie and apologises. One other time, when he shoved a bully and I had to go to the principal's office, there were 2 other children besides mine along with their respective parents. One was the bully, the other was the bully's victim. Then there was my son. The bully was continuously harassing the other boy we'll call Joe. My son told the bully to leave Joe alone. Mind you, my son was twice the bully's size in the 3rd grade. Bully said make me. My son pushed him with all his effort, 100 pounds. Kid shoving a 65 pounds kid means he went sliding the entire length of the cafeteria. So now we're all here listening. Joe is staring at his feet, Bully is crying, and my son just looks indignant. Bully's 9 a.m. male wants something to be done because her son was humiliated by my son. I asked, "What about what your kid did to Joe?" Her answer was, "We aren't here to discuss that, but what my son did to hers." I looked at her and said we wouldn't even be here if her son would leave Joe alone. The principal then said, "Hey, let's be fair, if my son would apologise for pushing the bully, would that clear this up, because no one is getting expelled or suspended?" Bully's mum, with a smile and smirk, said yes, if me son apologised it would be fine. Mind you, Joe and his mum are being ignored during the entire ordeal. Principal goes, "Okay, apologise for pushing the bully." My son looks awed at the mum and says, "No, I'm not sorry and I'll do it again." Joe looked up. "Bully mum PS, I got so big Joe's mum tried not to giggle. Principal says it's the right thing to do and apologise." My on, in his infinite wisdom, asks, "Do you want me to lie or tell the truth?" He explains further, if I tell a lie I get in trouble, so I tell the truth. The truth is I'm not sorry. Just apologise to make him feel better. My son smiles and says, "Okay." He looks at Joe and says, "I'm sorry that the bully is a jerk and hurt your feelings. He won't bother you anymore, I promise." Look at the bully and says, "Do you understand?" Turns to me and said, "I apologise, can we leave? The bully's mum looked like a goldfish. Joe's mum said this is concluded to my satisfaction and there will be no repeat performance, correct?" We all left the office and that kid never bothered Joe again. Moral of the story is it's all how you word the apology. My kid apologised, but not the way or to whom they expected. Comment 2. Not the idiot, you and your husband have been doing everything right, IMO. What the sister-in-law said was horrible and all you did was agree with what she said. IMO, she should be the one apologising for her behaviour. If your sister is happy where she is and would rather go on the trip, then why not let her? She can clearly make her own decisions when it comes to where she wants to spend her time. People with Down syndrome are just as capable of making decisions as the rest of us. Sometimes people just need a little help, just like elderly folks. I hope the sister-in-law stops attacking you and your husband. That's just disgusting. Comment 3. Not the idiot, and Jenny is a major AH. If she had actual concerns, she should have talked to you or her brother. And if she had half a brain, she would see that sometimes living in a group home is better than with family who don't have the time or resources to properly care for or enrich the life of a person with special needs. Sounds like you are still involved in Abigail's life, and she's happy. That is what's important. Also, if sister-in-law does feel this way, she doesn't need to make it known and do so in such a hurtful and insulting way. Now for the update. Last night we received some devastating news. The private adult home that we had chosen for my sister had an infection-19 outbreak. The virus swept through the home quickly and several residents, including my sister, were hospitalized. The call from the hospital was a gut punch. My sister, who's usually so full of life, was now struggling to breathe. I felt so helpless, and the memory of my sister-in-law's hurtful words added a layer of guilt that I hadn't expected. I found myself questioning if we'd made the right decision, if we'd failed her somehow, by not keeping her at home with us. My husband and I spent the night in the hospital waiting room. As we huddled together for comfort, we received another blow. My sister-in-law was pregnant. She decided to announce it in a group text, perhaps hoping that the news would lighten the mood, or maybe just not knowing how else to share it. I want to be happy for her, but all I can feel right now is a sense of resentment, especially as she ended the text with a request that we still not be considered as guardians. My husband took it hard. He's always been close with his sister, and this feels like a betrayal. He's angry that she's using our pain to make herself feel better, to justify her previous judgment about our suitability as parents. I can see that it's eating him up inside. Meanwhile, I'm going back and forth between worrying about my sister and feeling bitter about my sister-in-law's insensitivity. I can't shake the feeling that she's kicking us when we're down, making an already unbearable situation even worse. The doctors say my sister's prognosis is uncertain. She's in an induced coma now, her frail body hooked up to a ventilator. It's heartbreaking to see her like this, so far removed from the vibrant, loving soul she is. All we can do is wait and hope for the best. Our world feels like it's falling apart, and I'm not sure how we're going to get through this. The one thing I know for sure is that we don't need any more drama or tension in our life right now. We need support and understanding, not judgment and criticism. Now for the comments. Comment 1. You're the idiot, but not for the reasons you might think. It's understandable you're feeling guilty about your sister contracting infection 19 in the adult home, but it's important to remember that these are unprecedented times and you made the best decision you could with the information you had at the time. It's not fair to yourself to shoulder all the blame. However, the resentment and bitterness towards your sister-in-law's announcement is misplaced. She may be insensitive about the timing, but she's also experiencing a major life event that she has the right to be excited about and share with her family. Comment 2. Not the idiot. It sounds like you're going through an incredibly tough time, and it's natural to question your decisions. You couldn't have predicted the pandemic or its impact on adult homes. As for your sister-in-law, while it's a happy occasion for her, she should have been more considerate about the timing of her announcement, especially given the seriousness of your sister's condition. It's crucial you communicate your feelings with her and your husband so they can provide the emotional support you need right now. Comment 3. Everyone sucks here. It's clear you're dealing with a lot of guilt and stress right now, and it's important to give yourself some grace. You made the best decision you could for your sister at the time, and no one could have foreseen the pandemic or how hard it would hit care homes. However, your resentment towards your sister-in-law is unfair. She's not responsible for your sister's illness, and it's important to remember that life continues, even in the midst of tragedy. That being said, your sister-in-law should have been more tactful with her announcement, given the circumstances. It might be worth having a conversation about how her timing made you feel. If you liked this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.